The 2024 college football season didn't go the way Mansoor Delane expected it to. He dealt with some injuries. Virginia Tech had a poor season. He didn't have the year that he wanted. So he entered the transfer portal and then went to LSU, where the season already is off to a fast start, not just because of what they've asked him to do, but because he's more confident. He's in an atmosphere that requires winning and it's getting the best out of it. And so let's go ahead and talk more about this talented senior at LSU, listed at 6 foot, 190 pounds. One of the things that I loved about his game last year, had a fringe first round grade on him, was that he's a physical type of player, can play man coverage, but he's not afraid to get after it in the run game. You get a little bit of counter from Clemson right here on the end zone view. We'll talk about the blocking scheme, everything like that. But look at him willing to not only disengage, right? He swipes by the wide receiver right here, eyes in the backfield. Initially, first we get that eyes look. He's off coverage, eyes disciplined, notices the quarterback does not have the football. It has been handed off. So he swipes through, goes underneath, and goes and makes a tackle. That's the kind of mentality you want to see from corners. I think NFL teams love this kind of player, one that can play man, can play zone. His eyes can be a little undisciplined at times, at least they were last year. We'll see how it continues on this year. But like I said, you get a little bit of counter from Clemson, a little bit of footwork from Randall, the running back, outward. You're going to pull both of these guys here, and then you get that counter look where everyone else is blocking down, and it comes number 6. They also attach an RPO onto it. So you have a little bit of like a flare here from the detached receiver, eyes to the left as well from Klubnik, who gives it off to the running back. You've got pullers out in front. And then, oh, by the way, into space, it would have been, but here comes Delane for that tackle. Again, we're not asking him to get in the backfield and make tackles for loss. We want to see him as a force defender against the run, willing to come down when you have motions from one side to the other, be that extra force defender on the outside. He's able to do that very well. Where he was the most impressive was as a boundary corner, limiting everything outside, but continuing to improve that eye discipline. You see it here on this play right here, where LSU really, once Clemson lost their number one receiver early on in this football game, they challenged LSU challenged Clemson with a lot of man coverage, blitzing, and asked Cade Klubnik to beat them against man coverage. And you get the man on man right here on the outside. You have him against the number one receiver in this trips bunch formation on the right hand side. But again, you look at the eyes in that off coverage, he opens to the outside, understanding I have space. I'm going to use the sideline to myself. And once you get that little hip drop from the receiver as he's coming back to the football, Delane has very good footwork, ability to sink his hips too. And then once he gets there, right, we see the eyes. Okay, where's the football? Let's find that guy right there, and we'll make sure he still has it. And then I'm going to keep on that receiver right there. Ball comes out, and he goes after it and makes a tackle. Again, just willingness to do everything asked of him in that regard from a pure man coverage standpoint. I really do appreciate what they're doing. You've got a little bit of a QB spy option here with cover 1 behind it. Looks like maybe 33, the linebacker right there, should have taken number 8 out of the backfield. It feels like maybe he should have, but he's just trying to dump off, kind of chip him a little bit. And then he goes after the quarterback. Sometimes those responsibilities can be hard to figure out, but overall, looking at what Delane's going to do coming off of his man, once the ball has been released, he has very good eyes to identify that. And then we see him again, top of your screen here in man coverage, a little bit of shade from that safety deep, which we'll get into here in a second. But I appreciate, again, the comfort with which he played. He's got excellent footwork and hips, and then he stays on top of the receiver. One of the things that, if you go back to his scouting report from 2024, is he didn't always stay on top of receivers being physical. He's got long arms. He is a powerful player. When he gets on top of this guy's a bit bigger than him, but he stays right. He's got a good base. He's coiled. He's ready to go. And what I mean by coiled is that while sometimes this can be a disadvantageous place for some corners that can't flip their hips and run with those receivers downfield, this allows him to stay in that athletic position. So when the receiver goes to the outside here, he can flip. But you see, look, he's like patient. He's already on top of it. There's space between him. He's reading that little hesitation move from the receiver. And then we have the physicalness through the route without holding, without causing a penalty. This is what I really liked. So this is what I mean by challenged Clemson. they are going to send everybody. This is an all-out blitz. Unfortunately for Cade Klubnik, he did not see the extra chip from the tight end wide open with basically just man coverage and cover one blitz behind it here. It looks like he should have been getting this to the tight end, who was again wide open, as we see right there. However, when you have extra pressure in your face, sometimes the eyes come down. And I think that's what happened here to Cade as he's trying to get out of the pocket, make something happen. Again, he's moving to his right while that safety is moving to his own right to the two receiver side. Should have had eyes on that tight end get downhill, but regardless, it doesn't matter at this point. What we see here is, again, just that willingness to stay on top of the route, using his hands, making contact with the receiver without drawing a penalty, throwing off that timing. Where the ball is being thrown for the most part is where they expect them to be when the route is fully developed. Cade Klubnik is throwing this to the end zone because he identifies that, that safety is not there. I have to throw this football. I'm going to give my receiver a shot at it. Really, it's no shot because Mansoor was right on top of it. So it was man coverage specialist from Delane in this football game. Again, with his size, with his physical nature, with the hips that he has, he can stay in that hip pocket. And I really appreciate what LSU was trying to do. Again, when you can just line up and play pure man coverage, send blitzes every now and then, you want to challenge those receivers. And unfortunately, like I said earlier, Antonio Williams was not there for Clemson, and they just were unable to get a whole lot of separation from these guys. And again, when you see this kind of movement, keeping those hands on, right, keeping him attached to the receiver, while he probably could have done a little bit better against this release, he didn't generate enough of that hip pop to the right out of the stance, but he did a nice job of slowing down the receiver with his hands. Right, we don't necessarily need to see a jam, but when you're in soft press like this, if you don't know what soft press is where you are in press alignment and man coverage, but you don't jam the receiver. Hard press is where you get that jam, and then you kind of back out and try to play a little bit more trail if he's already behind you. So here, it's more soft press, but he uses that physicality through the route, through that stem to throw off the timing, and again, allows him to stay in the pocket of that receiver, gets a hand on the football. We've got a pass breakup. He was all over the field and really limiting everything downfield for Clemson. He was in hip pockets. He was making plays. He was hitting people. Really a fantastic presentation on a national stage against Clemson in this game, which is probably going to help LSU vault into the top 2 of the college football rankings. And then again, just here, one-on-one, you've got safety shaded to the middle of the field. So quarterback knows, all right, at the end of the day, we have 3 receivers over here to my right. I'm probably going to get that safety shaded towards them after the snap. Probably going to take this shot, take this over here. So I'm going to want to take this one-on-one opportunity down the field. When you have those opportunities, typically quarterbacks want to go for them. Again, eyes right first from Cade Klubnik. You want them to move that safety as well. But again, stay on top of it. This is where the eyes, you can see he did get a little bit undisciplined. He stayed with the receiver. Nice job staying on top, being patient, being comfortable. Eyes get back here. But really, it's not all that undisciplined because he is in such good position where there's the football. So he's looking for it right here. And he's then trying to predict where it's going to go. So he flips his head around and tries to go make an interception on this play. So honestly, it's not really undisciplined. It was more him tracking the football, realizing where he was on the field and how comfortable he was staying on top of that receiver. They didn't have anybody that could challenge him down the field in this football game. So a really big showcase for Mansoor Delane against Clemson, and what you really appreciate about him was the physical nature through the route, staying on top of it, working on some of the things that he struggled with last season on top of his injuries, but he was comfortable. He was in control in this game, and I really appreciated watching him against Clemson. I hope to see this kind of play and this mentality from Delane throughout the college football season, because he is a guy that can not only be a first-round type of talent, he has that ability to be a number 1 corner for a team if he gets everything right. So I really expect big things out of him in 2025.